Well, we finally made it. We reached 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. I wanted to celebrate by putting together an episode talking with just a few of the people that I feel have been an important part of this channel. And in doing so, it became apparent very quickly that the interviews were too good to be edited very much, so I've decided to make this a two-part episode. I'm going to start with some of the people that were at the very beginning and then work my way up. I really want to make these episodes about them and not about Retro Bliss Gaming. My first interview is with Joel. Joel is one of my very first subscribers. He's a regular viewer of the live streams and actively comments on the videos. He's been there from the very beginning, and there's no better place to start. Hey, Joel.
Hey, Retro Bliss.
How are you today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Thanks for coming on the channel. Glad to have you.
Oh, it's my honor to be here. My pleasure to be here, sir.
The reason why I wanted to have you, as you well know, man, I started the channel about a year and 8 months ago, and I can't say that you were my very first subscriber because I think probably my wife was probably my very first subscriber, but I do know that you were probably the first subscriber that ever commented on any one of my videos, and that was a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
And things have changed in the last year and 8 months because I've learned a lot about doing YouTube videos. I've made a lot of mistakes in the last year and 8 months. The way that I approach the videos and the quality of my videos has changed a little bit in the last year and 8 months. And you stuck with me through the good and the bad. So what do you think about the channel in general? I mean, what drew you to stay so long?
No, it is a huge honor, and this is surreal being on with you. It's a great honor. I first got to know you on the ATARI Age Facebook group, and that's when I first knew of you. And we would comment on similar interests, similar things we liked, the mail calls, and different things. And just I don't know. And then I heard you're starting your YouTube group, and I loved YouTube. It was really what got me back into Atari before I was ever on Facebook. So I think it's a great forum for you. But it's definitely your personality. Watching your videos, it's got a professional touch to them. But at the same point, it reminds me really when I was young, just watching those videos. I mean, just watching the video games with my buddies around the TV in the 80s and 90s. It's got that vibe to it that so many other YouTube channels, I'll be honest, do not have. And so that level of fun and authenticity.
Man, that's such a high compliment. There are a lot of Atari Facebook groups out there. And I do recall, we were on this, we still are actually, from time to time. We comment to this day on a lot of the same Facebook Facebook postings on some of these groups. But man, I it's been tough, because I can remember back in the day when I first started this channel, just getting, if I would get a couple subs a week, I would get excited.
Yeah.
It'd be, oh, I got a sub today. It'd be so exciting. And even now, you check to see how many subs you might get within a day or two. But just to know that you have some subs that stay with you, and I know that I have a number of them, and people that are watching right now that are I have some faithful subs that have stuck with me that are watching right now. But you especially, I wanted to have you on here because you get on the live streams a lot, and you as much as you can. I know that your schedule doesn't always help you do that, but you do as much as you possibly can. And I just wanted to thank you for being part of the channel and let you know how much it means to me to have you as part of the channel. And I just wanted to let you know and say thank you.
Oh, Phil, RetroBliss, I really appreciate it. Like I said, I love your channel. I love when I see that notification. I love to get on because I know there's a lot of regulars too that in the group, and it just really makes my day. Got that old school vibe, but something you didn't have back in the day, being able to watch online, and people from all over the country, probably all over the world, jumping in and watching at the same time. So it's been my honor, and the channel's grown, but I give you the credit in that you got faithful viewers, but your personality, your authenticity, you kind of got that it factor. So many live streams come out kind of sterile and bland, but to me, I'm laughing along with you, and feeling the excitement and drama of those jumps and the games and all that. It just brings back really the true nostalgia that most of us have, loving the video game. So
yeah, well, I get very animated sometimes when I play too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I kind of developed getting animated when I started playing online, because I don't remember really yelling at the TV screen so much when I was playing by myself. But I kind of learned to develop to be a little animated for the audience, I think. And then now I find myself when I'm by myself, in whether it's in the game room or wherever I'm playing by myself with no one around, I'm still screaming, "You dirty dog!" and all this stuff, But what was it like growing up? I know you're on your Facebook icon, you have a laser blast.
Yeah.
You like the Atari 2600 laser blast. Explain what that's about, because I remember that about you.
Yeah, well, it was one of the first videos of yours I watched. You actually did a review, and Laser Blast is one of the games I didn't get as a kid. It got away from me. I remember the commercials and kind of being a table turner where you were the Space Invaders, and I always wanted it. And then I bought it, I believe, off eBay, and I plugged it in, and then I knew that you could beat the game by rolling 1,000,000 points. So I went ahead, and another Facebook guy that sells authentic patches, I went ahead and bought them in advance. And I mean, I'm really not the best video game player, I'll be honest, but I love watching the game. But I forced myself to finally beat that game, and it was a huge event. And here I am, 50, I'm 55 now, in my 50s, so excited to beat a game that I always wanted to have as a kid. So that I use that as my profile picture to kind of as a badge of honor, that official badge. But I have an authentic one in a million. They cost a lot of money.
I was gonna say they're not cheap now. I had one, and I wish I don't know what I did. I think I had them in like a shoebox or something as a kid. And I think when I left home or whatever, I must have just like thrown them out or whatever, because I didn't really care anymore, for whatever reason. I don't know what ever happened to them, but now they're worth big money.
But yeah, that's where the Laser Blast profile pic comes, and then Jolt, similar to my name Joel, but I drank Jolt Cola back in the day, and then the 7800, giving homage to, which is really surreal. Seeing you play these homebrew games. You think about a system that kind of got forgotten, overshadowed by the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it was just mind blowing to see people making. When you first put homebrew games up, I'm like, what is this? I couldn't believe that people were making new games for a system, kind of largely forgotten. And that's one thing that really draws me to your channel. I love the reviews, the unboxings. It's just a great variety, and I really hope you get more and more viewers, because you've got some great content out there. You've helped me pick games, what to buy, what not to buy, on some of these homebrews.
Well, man, you're an amazing sub and an amazing viewer, and you make it worth my while. I wouldn't do it if it weren't for people like you and all the other guys and gals actually who get on the channel and watch and sub. And I really appreciate you, and good luck to you. And I hope you continue watching, and I know you have, because you've been doing it for 18 months, man. It's been a long time, and you still keep getting on the channel, and I really appreciate that so much. So
you're welcome. And if I miss the live stream, I try to catch up on. In fact, the neat thing about YouTube, if your subs don't understand, you can go back and watch every one of his videos from the beginning, and that's what I actually plan on doing, because some I skimmed over, some I missed. So it's all archived. So I plan on digging into a lot more retro Bliss, old and new. So.
Well, Joel, thank you so much for being on the channel, brother. I appreciate you so much. And if you ever need anything, you know how to get a hold of me, man.
Definitely. Keep up the good work, man.
All right, brother. You take care.
You too.
All right, buddy. Take care. Bye.
All right, bye.
My next guest is my favorite. It's my granddaughter, Moria. She made her first appearance on my Air Sea Battle episode, and since then, she's made some live appearances doing some live streams with me. I probably should have her on instead of me from now on. So here's Moria. Well, everybody, it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you my granddaughter, Moria. Say hi, Moria.
Hi.
The reason why I'm having her on the episode is because one of my very first reviews on the channel was of a game called Air Sea Battle. And Air Sea Battle was a 2600 game that came with the Telegames 6-switcher that was sold by Sears. It was the pack-in game, and it was my very first game that I ever got. And so when Moria was 3 years old, that was the very first video game that she ever played. I taught her how to play that. And so now every time that she plays me, tell them what happens, Moria.
I win.
Yes, every time. Have I ever beat you?
No.
Oh man, I never win. There's an ice cream parlor up the street that we go up there sometimes to get ice cream, and it's a free I think it's not arcade one up, it's one of those at game things, and we play that, and she beats me every time up there too. She's got to play me there because she's got to show off that she can beat me every time. Anyway, she loves to play that. But anyway, I want to show you guys some of the videos that she's been in on the channel. So you guys check these out.
Subscribe. Oh, he looked at me.
He looked at you when he drove by?
Yeah.
That's silly. Mommy says Luigi's too funny to get her.
I say that too.
She says that too? Okay.
He's too funny to get hurt. My mommy says that.
Yeah.
And Mario's too smart to get hurt. And Luigi is too funny.
Okay.
I'm gonna get these guys, okay?
Okay.
Let me kill this round, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean. Sorry.
If they fall down and you just walk into them, they die.
Oh. Oh, oh.
I'm so confused right now.
Oh no, I died. You're beating me pretty bad.
I'm just kind of little.
Okay. So what do you think about being a star on YouTube, Moria?
I don't know.
So I wanted to ask you some questions because it's been a year and 8 months since those videos came out, and you're going to be turning you were almost 4 at the time, and in December you're going to be how old?
6.
You're going to be 6 years old. That's right. So at the time, Air Sea Battle was your favorite game, but is it your favorite game now?
Mm-mm.
No. Tell us what your favorite game now is.
If it was on that, if it was on that theme, it would be Outrun.
That's right. They saw you play Outrun. Do you remember what your high score on Outrun really was?
No.
It was in the millions of points, but I can't remember what it was either. I think you got through a couple of the stages. You never got to the end, but you got through a couple of the stages, but you did really, really, really well. You have that on your arcade stick, so you got to keep practicing so you can break your record, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you play, I forgot I was going to ask you a couple. So that's your favorite video game. What other video games do you play at home?
Can it be anything?
I mean, yeah, it can be anything. What other games do you play all together?
Oh, like you mean the Switch and stuff?
Yeah, like on the Switch or anything.
My favorite game on the Switch is probably Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing,
Well, or probably Fall Guys.
Fall Guys. You play that a lot?
Yeah.
Do you play by yourself or do you play with daddy or mommy?
Sometimes I play with Dad because Daddy has an only Switch, but Mommy doesn't have a Switch.
Oh,
And it on computers and Switch. Mom doesn't have a Switch or a computer.
but I know mommy likes to play video games too, though.
She plays Animal Crossing, but she doesn't play with me because we can't do it. But we can play it together because now I have two people.
Oh, I see. I remember you coming over to the house and playing Animal Crossings because I think that's the one where you kind of go into these little stores and you buy things and you tell your person what to do and you can go fishing and hunting and you can find things and build things and chop down trees and things like
Yeah.
that.
And you also have neighbors and you have new neighbors.
Oh, that's right. And you can talk to them and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you like that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you were on my channel. Now, I have a question for you. Do you think that the reason why that I have so many subscribers is because you told them to subscribe to my channel?
I don't know.
I think it was. It probably was. That's what I think. I appreciate you telling them that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, baby, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for hanging out with Papa and talking to me. I love you, baby.
Love you too.
All right. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay.
I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That girl loves her video games just like her papa. Someone called her Little Bliss. My next interview is a special one to me. It's with John Champeau. John is a video game programmer for the Atari 2600, and he makes some great video game ports for the console. I've ended up buying all of his games, and I've streamed most of them on the channel. And during some of the streams, John has actually honored us by coming on the channel and chatting with us, and he's even given us some video game hints for the games. John's a great guy, and I appreciate all he's done for the homebrew community and the Atari 2600. Well, it's my honor and privilege to have John Champeau of Champ Games here with me. John is an amazing programmer, and the reason why I've asked him to be in our 1,000 subscriber celebration is that he has been an integral part of my channel, I feel. I started the channel reviewing his games. I was looking at my list of games that I was reviewing, and Conquest of Mars was the second video that I ever did on the whole channel, and Scramble was the fourth. And so, yeah, so I mean, that's how important I feel that his games are. He's an amazing programmer. And he's an amazing guy. Before we get started on the interview, I wanted to show him something. I had a friend of mine. He makes controllers, and he came up with this controller. I had never thought about it, but John, you know, back in the day when we had Space Invaders, first we had Space Invaders, and then we had Galaxian, and then we had Galaga, and of course you made the port of Galaga. You made Galagon, right? Well, back in the day, you had all you had was your left and right movement fire buttons, or control buttons on the arcade cabinet, and then you had fire back in those days, at least in the cabinets that I remember, right?
Oh, yes.
On the 2600 controllers that we use nowadays, for the most part, we're using a stick, and so you're moving left and right with a stick, and it works good. It does. It works good, but there's milliseconds between left and right. There's a little bit of travel there, not too much, but there's a little bit of travel there. So my buddy, he was thinking about it. He goes, you know what? It may be kind of cool to make this controller kind of like the arcade cabinet. So he made this, and I bought me one. I thought it was really cool, and it's got left and right fire here, or I'm on the wrong side. Left and right fire, and control, and then a fire button here, and then he's got up and down for navigation. So it works on Atari 7800 and 2600, and it also works on Commodores, but it works great on Galagon. It's an amazing on Galagon, and I thought you might get a kick out of seeing
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's how I remember playing Space Invaders back at the old roller rink we had at a lake that I used to go to as a teenager. I remember distinctly pressing those buttons. There was no such thing as a joystick back then.
No. I wonder if Paul McCormick could get a higher score with something like that. He's really
Oh yeah, I'm sure he would. It does make a big difference, especially in the later level. So that's really cool.
I'm very surprised at how quickly the sprite moves back and forth with that. It's just amazing to me.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So anyway, I have some questions for you. I wanted to ask you. Of course, I have a whole bunch of other questions that I want to ask you, but that might be for a later time. But for the purpose of the celebration, I wanted to ask you, how'd you get started with video game programming for the Atari 2600?
Let's see. Well, I started programming. Well, first, congratulations on your 1,000 subscriber episode. So
thank you.
It's well deserved, Phil. You have a great show here. Always appreciate what you do for Champ Games, and certainly when I have the time, it's always wonderful to join and watch you play those games and seeing the people comment. So
we appreciate you getting on. That helps us out a whole lot. You've helped me out a lot with that. We'll talk
great.
about that later, but yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. If I didn't, usually I sneak in during my lunch hour when I'm working. So if it's always a good break. So I appreciate it. So
thank you.
But anyway, so back to the question. So I've always wanted to program for the 2600. I designed some games back in the 80s with a good friend of mine, but never really got into developing for the 2600. Back then, it was fairly complicated. So if you didn't have the documentation on how to do it, you just weren't going to figure it out. And plus, the tools just weren't around. You didn't have emulators or even a way to test the game or burn onto a cartridge. Certainly not as a 12-year-old living in a small mill town. So, but anyway, so when I first, just like probably most of us, well, maybe not most of us, but I got the 2600 back when I was younger. I think I was 10 at the time, and certainly loved it. But as usually happens, I got introduced to the Atari 800 at an early age. That's where I actually started developing games when I was about 12. That had been about 1980, 81. And unfortunately, the 2600 was kind of left behind just because, we all have to grow up at some point. But as we see, we always go back to our first love, as they say. So anyway, so I learned how to develop, went to school, learned how to program, became a software engineer, did a lot of development for PC game development as well back in the 90s. But then about 2000, something interesting happened, and that is my daughter was born. And I was on night duty. For anyone who has kids, basically, I'd stay up late at night. And a friend of mine that I worked with basically offered me, he said, hey, how are things going? I went, well, I'm up late at night, 3 or 4 hours. He goes, well, I tell you what, I have a 2600. I know you like Atari. I'll give it to you. I had a bunch of games. You can bring it home, set it up. So when, she's sleeping or whatever, you can try to, it'll give you something to do. So I went, okay, that sounds like fun. And I was like, well, there's 2600. And so that was basically it had been like almost 20, maybe like 15 years since I actually played one. So I hooked that up and bingo, kind of fell in love again. I just going. It was a lot of the old games like Slot Racers, Maze Craze, certainly Combat and stuff like that. We started playing at work and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun. So that got me back into the 2600 around that time. And by then, I'd been 20 years since I've been developing for numerous systems. And that's when I kind of stumbled upon the Stella list. For those who don't know, that was it was a, I don't know what would you call it, like a messaging environment, kind of like a forum, old school forums where people would share ideas about how to develop for the 2600. So I just kind of read that for a couple of years, followed a lot of the pioneers that developed the first homebrews, and then tried to get into myself. Started learning the basics. And it wasn't until 2005 that I actually put it all together and made Conquest of Mars that you mentioned. So it was 5 years just kind of dabbling, and before you knew it, I had a project that inspired me, and moved forward with it, and used the knowledge I'd gained from just programming other systems back when, and applied it to the 2600, and that's kind of what got me going. So.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I know there's a lot of more technical information in between there that we could talk all day about, but that's not an easy thing to do. And obviously there's been a lot of developments with the Atari 2600 also that wasn't available back in those days, that we'll maybe talk about it another time also. But it's just amazing that you were able to do that. Now I wanted to ask you, do you actually play the games that you program?
Yes, I do, but not as much as I should or wish I could. That's for sure. I'd say probably 90% of the time I play is testing, which isn't as fun, to be honest with you. It's usually just trying to get to a certain level, looking for certain nuances or bugs, or tweaking gameplay and stuff like that. So I do buy a lot of other homebrews. So certainly I obviously have my Champ Games collection here, but I probably have maybe 50 to 100 other homebrews I bought over the years. So, and when I get a chance, I sit down and appreciate other people's hard work as well. So, but yeah, certainly I don't play games as much as I would want to. I probably don't really play that much at all. So, but yeah, so most of it ends up being game testing. So,
well, you probably, when you see someone do something and you see how like there's a certain mechanic in the game or whatever that kind of looks cool, you probably scratch, you go, oh, I wonder how they do that, and you probably try to mimic it or something. That's probably happened to you. I know that's probably something that may have happened over time, but just I have a very, very, very limited programming background myself, but not anything to the extent that you have. But yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those games are definitely inspirational as well. So they're fun, but also it's like, hey, how did they do this? And it kind of gives you ideas of little things I can add into the game engine I've developed over the last 15 years to try to make the games a little bit more enjoyable, or a little more pizzazz, another bell or whistle, it's stuff to add to the toolkit. So it's a great community to be involved in. It's not just people going, into their own silos and programming. There's a lot of sharing going on. I looked at my ATARI Age messaging, and I probably have maybe 1,000 conversations going on between people in the community. Maybe not that much, certainly a couple hundred, where it's either about testing or how to develop games. Certainly a lot of conversations between Nathan and all the games we've done. So it's definitely a great community to be a part of. So,
well, I know that I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head, but the gentleman who wrote RubyQ, he mentioned you in the
Silvio.
You kind of collaborated and helped him a little bit with his. So like I said, you said there's kind of a little community there. So I know that's kind of a cool thing there. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now, with the recent developments at Atari Age, the fact that we can't just get online and buy your games anymore. Thanks, Albert. Anyway, we understand, Albert. We appreciate all you've done. It's not a disrespect on you. We appreciate all you've done. You've been a big help to the Atari 2600, keeping the system alive, and we appreciate all you've done, Albert. But anyway, getting back to what I was going to ask you, you know, you've been working on Elevator Agent and Turbo Arcade.
Yes.
Okay. Now you plan on you had planned on doing some physical releases of that at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo in the fall. And is that still the plan? And if so, after the expo, do you expect that you might try to make that game available to other people afterward? And if so, can you expound on how we might be able to get that?
Well, sure. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, the plan was always to release Turbo Arcade and Elevator Agent at the expo. That's kind of what we shoot for. You know, once we do our releases at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo in October, you know, we take a little bit of break for the holidays, and then January I usually kick in and either try to finish games that have been started, or usually we spend time, like this year I spent some time in December and January. I also work on proofs of concept, which means new games that no one knows about yet, but things that I'm inspired to do, and kind of get those kicked off for the projects that I'll start working on after this expo. So anyway, so we dug in and we started completing Elevator Agent and Turbo Arcade, and then the news, of course, from ATARI hit. So that's kind of derailed the plans a little bit, in the sense that I don't have a way to actually publish it. But as I've mentioned on your show and in the forums and on, you know, social media, is that certainly we want to release those games. And right now I'm working with a Nathan Strum, and he's the guy that does all the graphics for our games, and a lot of other things as well. But he's also, you know, he has an eye for artistry as well, since he does the artwork for a lot of my games, the boxes and things like that.
He's amazing, man. I love it.
Yep, exactly. So he's a great resource to have, and he's kind of taken it upon the mantle to research local printers, and you know, obviously he's working on the manuals themselves and the artwork. So we're trying to get that done. Certainly, we're running out of time a little bit. I mean, we're down to like less than 2 months before these things get released, and it's certainly not something you can do the day before. You know, we have to have things in motion, and you know, jobs sent to the printer, and you know, the time delays associated with that. So it'll be tight, but the plan, at least to start, is to print is to get 50 copies of each game made. There's also coordination we're doing with Fred Quimby, BD ATARI, who developed the Harmony cart, but he also develops the boards that are used in the games themselves. So I need to, you know, I'm working with him to get an order of those delivered. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So certainly things are looking good, but you know, I could find out tomorrow that, you know, it's something there's just a lot of moving parts, and if one of them goes wrong, you know, 4-week delay here to get parts, or Fred can't deliver the boards, or we have an issue with the printer, you know, that's unfortunately, those are just things we'll have to deal with. But right now things are looking positive. So that's the plan for that. So after the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, depending if we have any copies left, or even if we don't, you know, what we're trying to do is certainly want to save money when we make these runs of when you print stuff. You know, if you just go to print one, it's like $10 for one copy. When you print 100, then it's $1 a copy. It's not really that, but the scale of economics works in our favor. So yeah. I think we may have to print like 250 boxes and manuals and things of that, and labels to hit a reasonable price point. So the good news is that, or the bad news is that, you know, certainly there's a huge investment up front and a risk financially, but the good news is that means we'll have at least the printed materials for 250 copies of each game, with only 50 being sold at Portland Retro Game Expo for each, assuming they sell, of course. That'll leave us with 200.
They will. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, well, thanks. I hope so. So anyway, so it's kind of a long-winded story, but basically the reality is that if all that goes well and we have things printed for the Portland Retro Game Expo, we'll have 200 extra copies, give or take, that we'll need to sell, or would like to sell anyway. And the plan would be to add them to our Champ Game store.
Well,
And
that's
certainly,
good.
yeah, so we need to figure out all the thing about packaging, shipping, working with UPS or USPS, all the stuff that I'm kind of not prepared to do right now. But it's not my first rodeo. I did this kind of stuff back in the 90s with Champ programming when I made DOS games ports as well, or conversions. And back then we were shipping 3.5-inch floppies and manuals and stuff like that. So it was similar, but not exactly, but certainly you had a
Of course, back in
cartridge.
those days, it was a lot easier to copy a floppy disk than it is
Yes, exactly.
usually making a circuit board and putting it in a cartridge, and going
Yes,
to printers
absolutely.
and making manuals and everything else.
Yeah, this is certainly much more complicated, but certainly anyway, at least I know the pain that is coming my way. So
Does this mean that if that goes well, that there's a possibility that you might start making some of your other games available on your website?
Possibly. Yeah, we'd like to do that. Certainly there's there's a financial commitment up front to print those in reasonable numbers. And they're all older games. Certainly games like Gorf Arcade and Kicks, which came out last year, would probably still sell pretty well. But printing 50 copies or 250 copies of Scramble would, even though I personally love the game, that came out
One of my favorites.
it came out like 7 years ago. The chances of selling 250 or even coming close to that is very low. So there's a risk, obviously, not even a risk. It's like, so if you think about it, it's probably, who knows what the numbers are, but there's certainly thousands of dollars up front just to get that stuff. So we're hoping that we can work with our printers to get, smaller batches of these done at a reasonable price. So maybe we get 50 copies of each game that we have of the older games, and maybe, a larger number of the more recent games, or the more popular games, I should say. Not that Scramble's popular. It's actually one of the most popular games, but
It's an example.
So that would, depending on how everything goes. I mean, the reality is that Atari Age is a huge presence in the community, and rightfully so. It's well earned, and that's the traffic going through that website is leaps and bounds over anything that Champ Games gets. So certainly we have to rely on word of mouth, interviews like this, the shows that you and Zero Page Homebrew and other Champ Games fans does, to get the word out that A, we're selling carts, and B, try to get people to actually want them to buy them. So so we're just going to play it by ear, start with the 2 games we're going to do anyway, and then depending on how things go, maybe next year we can start slowly introducing some other games, and obviously we'll be working on new games as well. So it'll be interesting. Again, I wish if money wasn't a factor, it'd be like, hey, fine, just go print 250 of each, put them in the store, people buy them, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. But I have a mortgage and college bills that dictate other things as well.
Yeah, so. I mean, because I know this isn't your gig. This is just a side thing. That you're doing. For us as Atari fans, it's not. This isn't your living.
Yeah. I hope people realize that certainly I'd love to do this for a living. There's no way the economy of scale just would never ever pan out. This all started with, hey, I want to make a game for the Atari because it's something I wanted to do when I was a kid, and it happened. And Al had a way to realize that dream into a physical form, meaning I can send him just a ROM and like magic, quote unquote, and Al would never call it that, because it's certainly a lot more than that. Your game is certainly being sold and in physical form, and that's the beauty of it. So I get to do what I want to do with my hobby, which is making games, but then it becomes a business when you have to actually publish it, and you say, okay, well, now I got to worry about printers and schedules, and I certainly don't envy what Al had to go through with that, and certainly appreciate it. So
yeah, he like I said, he did a service to us Atari fans, and he's continuing to do that. Just unfortunately, we just can't get the ports anymore. So, but anyway,
it makes sense, and hopefully, we may make a return to Atari Age if we can ever. Certainly, we'd love to secure licensing. We've talked about that before. We don't have to get into that again, but certainly, Champ Games has no desire to be some rogue company, doing stuff under the radar, and we just like to make games, and part of the challenge is porting or making conversions of other games. Is just realize dreams that some of us may have had growing up, like, hey, what would Scramble look like on the 2600, or what would Robotron look like on the 2600?
yeah,
That's where it all stems from. But
yeah,
like I've said in other interviews, it's like we've all been a victim of our own success, where you get too big, people start taking notice, and it's like, okay, well, it was fun, and we understand you're having a good time, and you wanted to, you're having a little fun, but now there's money involved, so it's time to pull the plugs.
yep, I get it.
It's kind of the way everything works out.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm a visual guy, and I want to show you. I want to show everybody. This is nothing new to you, but I want to show everybody that's watching this real quick. I'm a supporter of the homebrew community. Okay, all right. I don't play around. All right. And I still got Zookeeper coming. I don't have it yet. I'm waiting to get that.
Wow.
I still gotta buy the ROM. I'm gonna send you some money here in a minute. I gotta send you something so I can get the ROM for that. But that was what I was going. I forgot to send you the question about this, but I wanted to let everybody know. Now, I'm a collector, and the reason why I showed that to everybody is because I am a collector. I do want to have the physical cartridge, and that's what's important to a lot of people. But some people aren't exactly that. It's not that important to them. What's important to them is just to play the game. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a way to play these games, the full versions of these games, without actually buying the physical versions. You can go to champ.games and go to John's site and buy these games and download them. What I've done is I've downloaded them to a Harmony cart, which you can buy from Atari Age, and they will work. The ones that I have work on a Harmony cart on a 2600 just fine. Now, John has said, and you might want to chime in here, that it's advisable to download the demos first to make sure that they will work. And this is for the current games. Now, future games, this may be questionable, but for the games that are released right now that I know of, now I've actually Kicks may be questionable, but I think most all the games work. Just
absolutely.
For me. So if you want to get your Champ Games fix in, don't worry about getting the physical cartridge. You can go to champ.games and buy the ROMs. You can get them right now, so don't worry about that. But we'll get these games eventually. There's going to be a way, so I'm excited about that. So I do have one last question for you, John. Out of all the games that you've made, and you've made so many, you call it a baker's dozen, and you've got a couple in the works, and I know even after that you got plans for even more. But out of the ones that are officially released, what is your favorite?
Well, that's a tough one. That's like trying to choose my favorite child.
Yeah.
Well, I would. I thought about that. And it all depends on what kind of mood I'm in, but certainly the most sentimental one that means the most to me is the original Ladybug that I released back in 2006, and that was one I dedicated to my mom, and that's probably the one that's most heartfelt and the one I probably had the most fun developing. And the reason for that is it was a second game I had made, but that's the first one that I didn't have to do in secret. The first one was Conquest of Mars, and that was done kind of just in a silo. And the reason for that was because I was actually developing that for Atari themselves. And it never got released through Atari for reasons beyond my control for sure. But the Ladybug, that was one where I started it in January of 2006 and made a post in Atari Age, and that became like a hub and kind of like a family chat between me and the rest of the Atari Age community, where I was able to develop and make that game real time with people giving their feedback throughout the entire process, which was a 6-month process. So, and certainly being inspired by the memory of my mom, certainly made that one very special. So, so that one wins in the sentimental department by far. As far as playability is concerned, I would have to say RobotWar 2684. And the reason
I just
for
streamed that one. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah, I did see. I peeked in real quick, and I saw you were.
Ooh, I was having fun with that one.
Yeah, I saw. I just peeked in really quick, and there was one where you're on like the brain level, and you shot the last guy before you collected a bunch of the humanoids. You're like, I should have collected those.
I know, I was so mad because I was right there. I could have got a bunch of points, and I was so mad.
Yeah, it's all big points. So yeah, so certainly like Galagon was an amazing achievement as far as seeing that one come together in the community. That's a fan favorite. I've always enjoyed Galaga, but certainly not one of my favorite games, but certainly one of the ones I've always played when I went to the arcade. But Robotron and RobotWar, one and the same. The technical challenges that I had to get through to make that game really made me invested in making that game as best as I could. And the testing was a lot of fun, because I say it was testing, but this was like full on playing with my son, co-op, 4 joysticks, 2 joysticks each, and just really having a blast and spending.
I can imagine you doing that.
Yeah, so spending a lot of quality time with my son, and just having him, be a part of that. He got credit in the manual for being a game tester, because he probably played. These kids. Well, he's 21 now, but back then he was a little bit younger. They love their Xbox games, and these games are so much. So it meant a lot to me to have him spend so many hours in time with me. Actually playing the game and really enjoying it too. It wasn't like, okay, Dad, I'll play a few games. It's like, we were both like sweating by the end of it, getting up to level, whatever it was, 100 something and 4 million points. So, but it was great for testing, obviously, but and getting his feedback, but just enjoying that time together. So I would say that's probably the one I've spent the most time playing, the one I have probably the most enjoyment on it. So,
well, they're all good games, and I tell you what, I'm looking forward to what you got coming in the future too, man. You know what, you're such an integral part of the Atari 2600 homebrew community, and regardless of whether they're ports or not, I mean, everybody, they're in awe. I mean, I don't know if you ever get on the videos and look at the comments, but people get on there and they go, wow, how in the world? They just, it's just, and it's not just one, it just happens all the time. Every time I post anything of yours on there, they comment all the time. And your videos, anything that I post of yours on the channel, I think they get consistently some of the most views on the channel. And so I'm just so honored and privileged to have you as not only a guest, but as a friend and part of the channel. And so thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of the celebration. And we're so excited to see what is in the future for Champ Games.
Wow. Well, thanks, Phil. I appreciate it. And thanks for all the kind words. I'm glad that I can bring some attention to your channel. It's a wonderful channel. I love watching it, and it's exciting for me to see your community grow. It's well deserved, and certainly we look forward to having more of our games played on your channel, because it's fun. It's fun to watch for sure. You certainly enjoy yourself, and seeing the comments is always great, because one thing, who doesn't like to hear something good about something they made? But secondly, it just we make these games for people to play, and to see those comments, it just reiterates the fact that, people are still interested in what we do. And as long as they are, we'll continue to make those games. So,
well, John, keep them coming, because if you keep them coming, we'll keep playing them. All right.
absolutely. You bet. Okay.
Right,
Thanks, Phil.
brother. Appreciate you. We'll talk at you later.
Wonderful. Okay.
Right,
Bye.
take care. Bye. My next guest is a very good friend of mine. His name is Brian. I met him at a gaming convention. He's a great guy and a great friend. Well, I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine. His name's Brian from BD RetroMods. BD RetroMods is a company that Brian owns. He makes some amazing controllers. The story about Brian and I, it goes back about a year and a half now. We met at Korg's in Columbus, Ohio, back in 2021, was it?
Yeah, yep, the 2021 show. Yep.
Yeah. And I was pretty new to the channel, and it was my first gaming convention.
Oh, actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it was the 2022 show.
Yeah, that's right. Because I had started my channel in 2021. It was early 2022. That's right, early 2022. Yep. And so I wanted to. It was my first gaming convention, and so I go in there, and the first table I go to was John Riggs. John Riggs was at the table to the right there, and of course I had to, rub elbows with the big boys when I go in there, but anyway, I turned to the left, and I wasn't really looking for controllers or anything, but there you were, and you were nice, and I was looking at your table, and I saw a Sega Sega Master System 2-button controller there, and I had just gotten a Master System, and the controller that I had was kind of not working too good, and so I bought one, and I got your card, and we got to talking and everything, and things just blossomed from there.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned with the Sega Master System, because the Sega Master System is actually what made me kind of start this to begin with, because I ended up finding one, it was probably about 6 years ago now, and I was heavy into playing Magic the Gathering at the time. I went to a card shop that was probably about an hour away from here, and I was actually looking for some cards, and they had a full complete in box Master System set, the one that had the 3D glasses, the zapper, and 2 games with it. Everything was complete, and they didn't have a price on it. And I'm just like, how much are you guys wanting for this? Because I never saw one out in the wild. And they're like, oh, if you really want it, we'll sell it for $50. And it's like, okay. I didn't even think twice, and it was just like, so I got it home, and played with it some, enjoyed it. And then, with COVID, I had more time to play, and as I was using it more, I realized how much I just really didn't like the controllers for it. D-pad's usable, but just not the best. And then I really like to use joysticks for a lot of my retro games, and the joystick for the Master System, actually I got one right here this thing is it's just not. I know there's probably some people that like it, but I really do not like this.
No, because the handle, you got to put your,
right, and then
hand on it. It's just very awkward. And there's
you got to do it with your right hand.
Just put your fingers in between there, so it's not good.
So it was one of those like, man, and when I kind of searched, really didn't see anything out there for another option. So I kind of tore it apart, reverse engineered, and like, hey, I think I can make one myself. And that's actually what I did. It's kind of funny because I still have my very first original one that I made, just in a very clunky box, and and it still works great, and just kind of went from there, and obviously I've refined it over the years, and and again, I enjoy trying to make controllers for as many consoles as I can, because it's getting harder to find good working controllers, and I just want to still have them out there as at a reasonable price point where people can still have a good controller and enjoy those systems still.
Well, it's helping keeping the systems alive. actually I had bought the system, and the controller that I had, the membranes were kind of all jacked up and everything. And I saw someone on eBay that was selling the membranes replacement. So I had bought, they were supposed to be in pairs. And so the guy sent them to me. He didn't send them to me in pairs. He only sold me one. And so I contacted him. He goes, "No, I sent you two." I said, "No, I only got one." He goes, "No, I sent you two." So, and he was the only game in town. And I thought, well, so that's when I thought, well, I need to get something different. And it's funny because the controller that I got, even though the housing's a little bit smaller than the one that you originally had made, the color scheme and the buttons are exactly the same color. So yeah, and it's great. It's awesome. It's a nice option for the Sega Master System, and I still use it to this day. But over time, this last year and a half or more, I've amassed a little bit of a collection, to say the least. I kid all the time about sleeping on the couch because you have a Facebook page, and you put on your Facebook page all the different controllers that you have, and you have quite a collection of different controllers. And you go to a lot of the shows, and you're here in Ohio, the same as me, and you go to other gaming conventions other than Ohio, fairly close, I would guess, but still outside of Ohio sometimes. And to sell these things, I've got an INTELLIVISION, a really cool INTELLIVISION controller, ColecoVision. I've got tell me what I've got, Brian, because I kind of forgot. I've got
I'm trying to think. Yeah, you got a Atari dual stick.
That is my favorite one. I use that one all the time. That is awesome.
That's really the only way to play Robotron. I mean, simple as that. I mean, it's great for that.
Oh, the dual stick fight stick. That one too. Yeah, that one. I got that one. That's amazing. That's a must have if you're playing Robotron 2084. It's an excellent the homebrew by John Champeau 2684. It works great with that one also. And then you got the
Sega Master System, you got the Atari 7800 arcade one that I know you recently did a video on,
and then the Dogbone.
And then you got the Dogbone controllers. Yeah, you have Atari and Sega Master System.
Yeah, and I got another one coming.
That you do. And
show me what I'm getting, man.
You'll be happy to see that I actually got it finished for you today.
Oh, ooh, look at that. Tell us what that is, Brian. Tell everybody. I know what it is, but tell everybody what that is.
Yeah, so that's a Space Invader style controller for the Atari set of consoles, 2600, 7800, Atari 8-bit. We'll also work on a Commodore 64 as well. And it's just a controller designed to play Space Invaders or games similar to it, like maybe Galaga, Demon Attack. And again, that kind of came out of inspiration because I was in the Chicago area a few weeks ago and went to Galloping Ghosts and played the Space Invader cabinet. And I forgot how much fun it was actually playing Space Invaders with actual arcade buttons instead of a joystick. And then I just got inspiration from that to make this controller now. So,
and that's the way we used to do it when I was a kid. We had a racquetball court here close by the house. Well, not by here, not where I'm at now, but where I live. And we used to ride our bikes down there, and it was the only arcade cabinet close to the house. And that's where we put all of our quarters. And that's the only way we played Space Invaders was you just had the two buttons to move left and right and the fire button, and that's all you had. And that's the only way I ever played Space Invaders. And then when I saw that you were making that, I said, man, you done made me I gotta go ahead and buy another controller. So I had to go to the wife and go, baby, please, baby, please. So I'm excited to get that. So I'm really pumped about getting that because I just ordered since Atari Age has quit selling their ports during the sale, I ordered the Space Invaders, the 7800 version by Bob DeCrescenzo. I hope I said that right. I think I did. I have the ROM, but I wanted to get the cartridge version. But it'll play great on that game. So.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I tested this with that plenty of times here in the
Yeah.
last few weeks, and yeah, I think you're going to enjoy it a lot.
But that'll work with the 2600 versions of Space Invaders also, right?
Yeah, yep, and like Demon Attack. I mean, there's a number of games that'll actually end up working great with.
And
Pretty much any-
Galagon,
Yeah.
the homebrew of John Champeau's homebrew of Galagon should work with that just fine.
Yep, because on that controller too, on the side of it, we have some buttons just for up and down, so that way you can still navigate through the menus. So that way,
I was wondering what those were because I saw those on there and I'm like, I wonder what those are. But that's a nice touch.
yeah, because again, when I was testing it on the 7800 version of Space Invaders, you got to go up and down to change your menu option, to hit the different options, to select the different options going up and down. So like, yeah, I need to add that in there, or else this controller isn't going to work right with it. So yeah, so put those in. So yeah, it should work on a number of different games, pretty much any of the space shooter games that you went left and right with. So
now you have other controllers for other systems that I don't have it yet. Like do you sell controllers for other consoles like PS3 and Xbox and other consoles like that?
yeah, so I do have an arcade stick that works with the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3. It has the actual PlayStation controller piece for PlayStation 1 and 2, and then a USB cable for it to work on PS3. So I do have that. Xbox has been one that's been requested here a few times, and I'm currently working on one that will hopefully work on all the Xbox models. But I'm still kind of tinkering with that one, and something I'm hoping maybe I'll have in time for Cleveland Gaming Classic here in late September. No promises, because I have been getting a lot of orders. So doing the R&D stuff on some new ones just really depends on my free time in between orders and stuff. So
It's hard to be in development and keep up with the orders, I can imagine.
Oh yeah, because this is by no means my full-time job. This is just kind of my little hobby side thing that I like to do.
Yeah. But you know what? I really enjoy our friendship. We've definitely developed a friendship, and you've actually done me some ginormous favors. Some of my viewers probably know from watching the channel. I have purchased an Atari 7800, and I bought a ColecoVision. The 7800 worked just fine, but I wanted to mod it, do an AV mod on there, and you did that, and you put an LED on there, and it works just great. I love that, man. It's cherry. I play that all the time, and it looks great on the TV. And then, but I bought a ColecoVision, and I bought it, and when I bought it, the guy let me test it on a little 5-inch black and white TV, and yeah, see, it works. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess it does work. Okay. And then I took it home, and I could see color, but it seemed a little washed out. And I was telling you about it. And then I tried it on another TV, and it was all like black and white and everything. And you said, yeah, there's something wrong here. And you said it was the problem with the power switch. And anyway, you end up recapping both of them and doing all kinds of different things. And, you just made me pay for basically the parts and the postage. You didn't charge me anything, just as a favor to a friend. And I appreciate that, man. And I've been able not only to have fun playing on those consoles, but I've actually been able to share a lot of the games that I have with my viewers on those consoles, and I appreciate that.
Oh no, not a problem. I appreciate everything you've done with all the video reviews, and like I said, I enjoy doing that stuff, and it's always a good day when we can keep some of these older systems running still, and I'm just happy to be able to get them working for you.
Well, for those of you who want to check out Brian's controllers, go on Facebook and look up BD RetroMods. I'm sure you'll be able to find him there. But if you want to see any reviews, you can go on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel, but I also have done a number of my own reviews on my channel for the controllers that I have. And there will be links in the descriptions for all of that here on the channel. So be sure to check those out. Brian, thank you so much for hanging out with me, man. I really appreciate you being here. You're a good friend. And I plan on getting you some more business here. You know, I'm not going to go away anytime soon. You know that, because I've been every time I keep saying that I'm going to pull the throttle back a little bit and kind of slow down on my purchases, I end up not doing that. Because you keep coming up with more and more.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I appreciate everything you do, and you know, like you said, we've had some good conversations here, you know, since the time we met, and you know, I enjoy what you do for your YouTube channel, you know, with your focus on, you know, I mean, you do a little other things too, but you know, mainly Atari stuff, and you got a certain niche there you're going for, and it's a great channel, and I'm happy to be on here and talk with you and to celebrate you having over 1,000 users now, or not users, but 1,000 subscribers now. So,
well, Brian, thank you so much. You have an awesome day, buddy, and keep them coming. All right.
Will do. Thank you,
buddy. You take care now.
Yep. You as well.
All right. Bye-bye. My next guest is Chris. They say that misery loves company, and Chris and I have been in company together since the beginning of the year. As many of us have been with Atari age, as you will see. Check this out. Well, I'd like to introduce a very good friend of mine. His name is Chris Albright, and Chris is a longtime viewer of the channel. He has gotten on very many of the live streams, the game streams. He's been watching for a long time. How you doing, Chris?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you being on here. I wanted to include you in the celebration because you have been such a long time watcher of the live streams, and we've had some common interest with homebrews, you know, because I stream a lot of homebrews, and you know, and you're very interested in homebrews, but we've had kind of a similar problem with homebrews, and I wanted to know if you could kind of explain to the audience what the problem that we were having this year with homebrews. Would you explain to everybody what that was?
Well, when Gorf came out, actually a lot of games came out all at the same time, and I think everybody ordered, and what was it? It was like 4 months before they showed up, and there was a couple of emails here and there saying that, you know, things were slow, but there really wasn't a whole lot of communication. And yeah, I spent like over $200 worth on games, which is not very many. They're kind of expensive.
Yeah, $60 a pop. It doesn't go very far, does it?
No, and I don't want to. I definitely don't want to. You know, talk bad about Atari age at all, because I wish the communication would have been a little bit better, and maybe he would have hired some help. But I'm so grateful for that that website and having a place that you can go and buy games in box and open them up like you were a kid again. Except I don't open them like when I was a kid. I just rip them open and take the game out, throw the box of manual away.
That's what I did. I wish I kept all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, if I could just go back in time. Yeah, but it's still it's so much fun opening, and they're made with such good quality and everything. And now we've got this last, you know, that now he pulled all the good ports out of there. And I'm sure he has good reason, but you know, only a month. Well, back then when he said it was like 20 days to order. So I ordered another three or four of them. But then I'm out of budget.
A lot of people were,
Probably-
man, they had to pick and choose, of course, if money were no object, you would just go down the line of the ones you didn't have. If you knew you couldn't get them, if this was the last time you were going to get them, you just go down the line and buy all the ones you couldn't get. But a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
you just pick the ones you want the most and get those, and then just, maybe hope and pray that somewhere down the line you might be able to get them later. But the reality of it is, from what I'm hearing, depending on what system that you collect for, some of these may not become available again, unfortunately.
Yeah, and during that time that we were waiting, I did write John Champeau and Albert, who runs ATARI Age, and they both got back with me and were very very professional, apologetic, and that's all good. But yeah, that was a little frustrating waiting. And I don't even expect to get this next shipment. Maybe for Christmas.
Yeah, if for Christmas at this point, there were so many people.
I hope I forget that I ordered them, and then maybe for Christmas I'll just surprise.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Well, John Champeau, I did speak with him, and he's hoping. See, the problem is that Albert, and I get why he's doing it, and he didn't expect that the ports would become such a big business with ATARI Age, and that was never his intention, was to sell ports. He wanted to get into, he wanted to distribute originals, and he could get into some serious trouble selling licensed ports or unlicensed ports, things that would infringe on someone else's IPs. So and so I can kind of get that, but I do believe that John is going to try to find a way. I'm hoping, but I don't know if I had told you or if you had heard this or not, but I was live streaming about a week or two ago, and I was doing a 7800 game, and I don't know if you've heard of Bob DeCrescenzo, who is a programmer for the 7800. And while I was streaming, he got on there. And so, me, man, I don't hesitate to ask or say what's on my mind sometimes when I'm streaming. And I came out and asked him, I said, dude, what are you going to do? What are you going to do once they quit selling your games at ATARI Age? And he pretty much told me in the chat that at this point in time, now things could change, obviously things could change, but at this point in time, he has no plans, and that he thought that he couldn't believe that the wave had lasted this long, and that he was able to do it for over 20 years, but that he didn't really plan on selling any more of his games after the 23rd of July. So and the unfortunate thing is there are other programmers probably that are doing the same thing, and that's what's so sad about this whole thing. Now, John Champeau, I believe he's going to continue on and try to find a way, but the problem is that programmers like him, he's been a programmer. He's been a programmer, and all he's had to do is go to Albert and say, hey, here's my game, and Albert's been the one who's got the boxes printed and gotten the cartridges made and everything else, and then distributed all the games. Well, now John's got to get all that taken care of, and he's a programmer. He's not a distributor. He doesn't really know, he doesn't really know all of the logistics to all that. So now he's got to figure out how he's going to do that and see if he can maybe find somebody to help him with that. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But anyway, in our quest to try to get our games at the earlier part of the year, I can remember it was almost on a daily basis during the week because that's when I do most of my streaming. I can remember you jumping on there and saying, "Did you get your games yet? Did you get your games yet? You know, did you get your games yet?" You know, it's like, no, I didn't get my game. Did you get your games? No, you know, I can remember, you know, and I can remember you wanting to get Pac-Man 4K for the longest time.
Yeah, I got that on order, so that's coming.
Yeah, I know you were really wanting to get that. And it was so sad that they didn't have it for the longest time. And then when I heard when Albert had made a decision to quit selling ports, he actually put it back in the store. And as soon as I heard that he put it back in the store, I ordered it also. So I'm excited to get that also.
The 8K one as well. And actually, I talked to John Champeau about that too. I was like, I really would like that 8K one, but with a high score menu. But
Yeah,
he said there's been too many ports done that are really well, and he didn't want to do it, which I understand. But
yeah, I guess there's some.
how many ports of Pac-Man do we really need? I mean, I've got a lot.
Yeah. Well, I've already kind of vented on the show so many times about my disdain for the original Pac-Man. That actually, if I would have just had the 4K version back in the day, that we're going to get the one that we're expecting. If that would have been the only one that we ever would have gotten for the 2600, I would have been satisfied. That would have been enough for me.
This one's the arcade Pac-Man for the.
That's not a bad one. That's a good one, really. That's a good one. That's not bad. It plays well. I've got the ROM of it. I don't have the cart, but I do. I don't know if I ordered that one. I might have ordered that one. I don't remember because I ordered a few more. I was able to kind of muster a little bit extra, but not a whole lot because I collect for the 7800 also. So I kind of had to juggle a few things to try to get some extra. But the problem is I wanted to, before the call, I wanted to find out which ones I ordered earlier in the year because I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I couldn't remember which ones I was waiting on, but I think one of them was Robotron 2084. And I want to say the other one was Kicks, but I can't remember if it was. I think it was Kicks. Yeah, I think it was Kicks from John Champeau. But then I had ordered some other ones too. So, but I can't remember. I'm really bad about that. The problem is I collect for other systems too, and I got too much going on. I'm really bad about remembering, but I just remember you jumping on there so many times, and it would be almost a daily thing. I mean, it just misery loves company. You know, misery loves company. We would just.
Well, you know, the thing I like about your show and this whole retro community is like waiting on the games, everyone getting games at the same time. God, that really brings me back to you know, like my childhood and so yeah, that's what I like about your show and the people that are in the chat, and yeah, we chat a lot, you know, on there. Now I'm usually working. Hopefully my boss ain't watching this, but because you stream around 11 o'clock my time.
Chris, who? I don't know who they're talking about.
I'm sure he's not, but yeah, actually, most of your stream, I have my phone down and can't even see it. I'm just listening, which is probably, I don't know if that's surprising to you or not, but I really enjoy the conversations that you have before and during the games, and then, you know, I do pick up and watch some of it at some points. Pretty much just watch the 2600 games when you're on there. That's how I found you a long time ago. I think maybe when you first, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but it was sometime last year, I think.
We've been doing it 1 year and 8 months.
I was looking up Atari homebrew games because I was trying to decide which one I wanted to buy, and yeah, that's when I ran across you, hit subscribe, and yeah, I definitely enjoy your stream and enjoy the community that comes with it.
Well, you were talking about the 2600. The newer systems they do play these games a lot better on the systems, but you're absolutely right. The reason why we do these homebrews and the reason why I buy the homebrews and I do the reviews of the homebrews, it takes me back and it makes me think what it would have been like to be 14 years old again, to have my 2600 up in my room with my little 13-inch black and white TV, because my dad wouldn't let me play on a color TV because he wanted to watch Dukes of Hazzard. Thanks, Dad. Anyway, up in my room and play these games back then instead of some of the games that we were getting, because I can remember, I'm old enough to remember the crash of 83. I was 16 back in 83. That was the year I graduated high school, so I'm an old dude. So I remember all of this, and I can remember the good games that came out, and I can remember the bad games that came out, and I can remember being jaded with the bad games and with just wanting to move away from the 2600 in general. As a matter of fact, I got to the point one time where I just got so tired of it at one point that my brother and we quit playing, and there was a needy family in the church that had kids, and we just gave our 2600 and all of our games to a needy family in the church that had kids, because we had lost our love for the system at the time. So but COVID hit, sitting around the house watching YouTube, and I'm seeing somebody with a flashback unit, and he's playing 2600 games on that, and I'm like, hey, I can play him again, and it kind of made me think, well, maybe I could get back into it a little bit. And then I got a Retron 77, and then I started looking into it and started collecting cartridges for that. And then next thing you know, I got me a 2600 again, and then I homebrews, and here I am now. You can see behind me, I got a VCS now, and I'm retired, and the wife, she's an enabler now. she lets me get stuff, kind of, so, but anyway. But Chris, you know what, man, I really appreciate you so much. You're a great guy. You've been a faithful watcher of the program, and I wouldn't do it without guys like you. You guys are the ones that keep me going, because I haven't made a dime on the channel. I put a lot more into it than I've ever gotten out of it financially, but you guys have given me so much more back than what I put into it from an emotional standpoint. You guys have given me so much camaraderie and fellowship that I could never repay that back, and I just really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and God bless you, man, for being part of the program.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate. I'm sure we all appreciate your show that you put on.
All right, brother, you take care now. We'll see you next time. All right, don't forget to tune in and let me know when you get your games, your next shipment. Of course, be sure it's before you tune back in before Christmas, though, because it may be then before you get your games again. Well, I'm going to end this first episode with my most interesting subscriber, John. He's better known as Cannabis Kid on the channel. He's a character, as you will see, but don't let him fool you. He's a great contributor to the channel in that he gives us homebrews to stream. And he also gives us video game facts on a regular basis, many of which I never knew. John's a great guy and fun to have on the live streams.
Oh, hey, far out. Yeah, I'm here. It's me, your friendly moderator, Cannabis Kid.
What's going on, my friend? Nice to see you.
Yep. Finally good to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you too, man. We got to 1,000 subs, And what I wanted to do was, first of all, I like your background there. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
We got to 1,000 subs, and I decided that I wanted to do a celebration video, and I wanted to include some of the people that I thought were important to the channel. And as you know, we do a lot of live streams at Retro Bliss Gaming, and you are always on the channel, and you are very instrumental and a very good participant in the live streams. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and kind of get your take on what you think about what's going on during the live streams while I'm playing the games. What's going through your mind while I'm kind of screwing up and, and playing some of these games online?
Just so you're the same type of gamer I am. We're just playing the games to have fun. Or, I mean, there may be a couple games like beat 'em up games where it's almost like you want to cheat so you can beat it just to play through the story to see what the ending's like, you know, like Double Dragon. Want to beat it to watch the guys rescue the girl that the bad guys kidnapped. That kind of stuff. But, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it's really cool to have you you're on there on the chat because you're a very good participant. And another thing that you do when you're on the chat, you always you're very informative with fun facts. You give us a lot of fun facts during the live chat. You've talked about some like Denny's games and things like that. I can't remember all of them because it's kind of hard for me to walk and chew gum at the same time. So while I'm playing the game, it's hard for me to process playing the game and to absorb everything that's going on in the chat. But it's awful fun to have you in the chat, and I wanted to just say thank you for being in the chat and being part of the Retro Bliss experience.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you being here, brother. You're a good man. And if you ever in the Cincinnati area, man, stop by, come down to the Bliss Cave, man. We'll have some Diet Mountain Dews, and we'll play some video games down in the man cave. What do you think?
That sounds like fun.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for chatting with me. Thanks for being part.
I found a picture you might be interested in. It's a computer artificial intelligence generated picture, and it asks the question, what if virtual reality existed in the early 1980s, and what if there was a virtual reality headset for the 2600? And they show a screenshot of virtual reality combat and virtual reality Munchie Man.
Virtual reality Munchie Man?
Since I know you don't like using the other name.
Yeah. For those of you who may not know, I am a hater of Pac-Man. I'm a hater of the 2600 Pac-Man, so I call it Munchie Man. Cannabis Kid knows that.
I know, I did the same thing. Save up all your money to buy a game, and then you either beat it within a couple hours, or, you know, it ends up being just pure garbage.
Yeah, man, I know. So when you were a kid, what were your experiences when you came up with video games? What kind of consoles did you have?
Let's see. I had a 5200. I had an NES. I had an original Game Boy, which sadly magically grew legs and walked away one day when I was a child with all my games, except for my port of Game Boy Paperboy.
Oh man, that had to
Let's
hurt.
see. I had my N64 magically grow legs and walk away, but they left me all my games except for the game based on the Comedy Central cartoon South Park. So I think I still have them rotting away someplace in my storage unit.
Oh, man. Sounds like
Yep.
you've had a gaming adventure all your life trying to just manage to keep your collection going and just so you could play your games.
Not just my collection, but one time myself, like my cousin came over to my house and we went up to this local record store that rented Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games, and we were sitting there playing the Sega Genesis set up in our basement, and my sister, a couple of her friends came over, so we just thought, oh, we'll go up into my room where the Super Nintendo set up, and we'll go and we'll let them have their time down in the basement, you know. And one of the two guys that was sitting down there saw the rental copy of Mortal Kombat sitting there, waited for my sister to leave the room, and then yoink, picked it up and stole it.
Oh man, that's horrible.
And myself and my cousin they charged us a total of $80 to replace it, and we each had to pay 40.
Oh man. See,
Just
memories like that, they you have good memories and you have bad memories and
But I do have some good memories. Like I was watching an episode of Monday Night Wrestling, and they were like, "Oh, Rob Van Dam's gonna be up at this car dealership here in Northeast Ohio doing autographs." So I had him sign my copy of the Brady Games SmackDown versus Raw 2006 strategy guide that had him in it. And as he was signing it, he looked at me and said, and I quote, "I own this exact same strategy book, tried everything in the book it told me to do all my moves, and it didn't work."
oh man.
But he
Well, that's
signed it.
not good.
But he signed it. And then later on, the same dealership had Shelton Benjamin come and do an autograph signing, and he was in the same video game, so I had him sign the same book.
Well, do you still have it?
Unfortunately, it's someplace in my storage unit. But then later on in 2009, there was a local wrestling event in my hometown up here that had the tag team of Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Greg the Hammer Valentine. So I went up to watch it, and halfway through the show, they took intermission, and they were like, "Oh, the Hammer and the Anvil is going to be up at this up here at this bar doing a meet and greet after the show." So I took my copy of WWE Legends of Wrestling for the 360, which is an add-on for SmackDown versus Raw 2008, I believe. And I got them to sign it because they were both in the game.
See, I've never had that. I've been to gaming conventions where I've actually had the programmers be at the video conventions, and I've had them sign the games and things like that, but I've not had some experiences like that. So that's actually kind of cool that you had that. I hope that you still have access to some of that stuff.
Yeah, I do. I still have my game in my room in my collection. I just need to shell out the money so I can buy an unopened copy off the internet and then replace all the unopened, because I used it before I took it up there and I played it. So it's a used game. You figure if you have an unused game with the autograph, probably ups the value of it.
It definitely does. That's for sure. It's hard to be a collector these days, though. Everybody's wanting to do retro gaming, and the value. It's hard to find the video games without shelling out some money these days. It's very hard now.
I was heartbroken over ATARI Age. I mean,
yeah,
I can understand the cease and desist stuff, but it was just like when you save up all, gotta spend when you're on a budget like us, and you gotta spend all, save up to get the games.
Yeah, I know. I'm the
uh,
same way, man. I don't have deep pockets either. A lot of people don't. They were very, very, very heartbroken about that. I had a poll on the channel. Do you agree with the decision by Atari Age to quit selling the video game ports? And it was pretty much even. And I kind of get it. I understand why Albert made the decision, but yet, giving everybody only a month, that has everybody scrambling, or it had everybody scrambling. Now it's too late. you know, whatever decision they
Should've been
made,
more
whether they bought them or
about-
not, it's too late now. So
Yep, unfortunately.
yeah. So, well, John, you know what, man? I really appreciate you, brother. I really do. I get on every day, almost every day, around the same time on the channel, and you guys are the reasons that I get on there, because of the fun and the fellowship. Because you know I'm not an expert at playing a lot of these games. You know that for a fact from watching me almost every day. And but it's about just the fun and the fellowship of chatting together, and you guys make fun of me too, because if I die and I say you dirty dog and all, you know, you guys make fun of me, and I know you do, and you have fun at it. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, but it's okay though.
yeah. Well, brother, thanks for being on the channel, and thanks for being part of the celebration episode, and don't stop coming to the chat, man. And thanks for being an administrator on the chat for me. I really appreciate that, because it's hard for me to play the game and kind of police
Very
the
easy
channel.
when you're using YouTube on a cell phone.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, appreciate you, brother. You have a good one now. And if you're ever in the Cincinnati area, look me up. All right.
Yep, I will.
All right, brother. You have a good one now. Take care.
Yep, you too.
All right, buddy. Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye. On that note, we'll end this episode, but we have some great interviews in the last episode coming up. Thanks for helping us get to 1,000 subscribers, and we'll see you on the next one.